We have a 2006 BMW M5, and today we're going to show you how to replace the throttle body actuator. To get to the actuator, you're going to have to remove the intake manifold. You're going to take both of the air boxes out, the top parts of it. Don't break any of the clips or retainers. And you have 10 clamps under the intake. Some of them are real big bitch to get to, but I'll show you how to. Gotta disconnect the secondary air injection intake. Get a clip on top and the bottom of the connector. You gotta squeeze it and it's gonna release the connector. You have to release the windshield washer tank nose. It pops out from the tank, so you don't have to worry about it. Just pop it out. If it doesn't pop out, you can leave it in there. You're gonna be able to stick it back into the tank without a problem. Be careful with all the plastic lines, cooling lines, and any hoses. They are brittle after a while, so make sure you're being careful with them. Now you gotta remove all the locking lines. It's a crankcase ventilation. Both sides. There you go. See that clamp down there? It's right on the throttle body. This guy has individual throttle bodies, so you're gonna have 5 throttle bodies per side. You're gonna have to get a long extension and reach in for the clamps. It's a 6mm head on the clamp, so get a 6mm socket with an extension and try to take him off. As I said, they are a little bitch to do, but it's doable. Okay, the manifold is not going to come out until you remove this plenum over here with where the cabin filters are, and you're probably not going to be able to loosen the last clamp to get the manifold off, so you're going to have to remove that plenum. You have a couple of retaining springs on the box, one clip, one spring. Pop it up, clean all the debris out. The air boxes have little drains on the sides. Make sure when you clean them, clean the drains out, so you don't have any water leakage problems later on. Here is the center retaining piece. You gotta slide to the side and come out. several clips like that. It's 13mm. Then we do like 90 degree or a quarter of a turn to twist them off. Don't spin them, just a quarter of a turn to release them. And the whole thing should come out. And you also have two bolts on the sides of the airbox. Well, they're missing on this car, but you should have them in your car, so don't break the box, take the bolts off. You're gonna have to remove the strut bar as well, because it's easier when the strut bar is off. T45 Torx, so 4 bolts. Now you have much more space to work behind the engine. Okay, right there behind the manifold, you have a wire harness. There's a clip on the wire harness that goes through the manifold. You gotta pull the harness upwards in order not to break it. So release the harness and then start yanking on the intake manifold. Alright, you got everything is released, the manifold is loose, you can take it off, but you have a couple more breather connectors, one on the bottom. Same deal, you gotta press on the sides of the tabs, disconnect it. You have another one in the back of the manifold, this little one. Be very careful, that one is very easy to break. You got the same style connector on the little one as well. Just press on the sides of it, it would release the connector. It's right here. It goes in the center of the, like in the back of the manifold. And the other one is in the bottom. We got the manifold off. See the throttle bodies? Clean them every time you take the manifold off. It's a good idea. The throttle body actuator is down there between the banks. We got a wire harness in the way. The actuator is not going to go through. We have to remove the second intake manifold to pull the harness out. See, we unbolted the harness and something's holding on the under the manifold, so we're gonna have to remove the second manifold as well. Same deal on the manifold. Got the clamps and the throttle bodies. Got a couple of pipes connected to it. Alright, so we got all the clamps loose. Pull the manifold up. You have same thing. One connector, one hose connection in the front, one in the back. So you got one in the back over here, one over here, and the big one from a PCV system. So we got the intake off. We got this wiring harness that's in the way. Gotta pull it up. Gotta take off a couple of things to get some slack on the harness so you could pick it up. Be careful, there's a positive connector. Don't short it out. So we release some of the harness. You gotta pop off the little arm that goes to the throttle body. Make sure you disconnect your battery, because these wires over here, they battery positive, so you might short them out and you might have a problem with the shorter mount. Disconnect the plug of the actuator, and you got 3 10mm bolts on it. 2 over here and 1 on the other side under the harness. You might need to use a swivel to get to it from the other side. Squeeze the actuator through. Careful not to break any wiring harnesses or any of the throttle bodies. And make sure you don't drop anything into the throttle body. Alright, we got an original throttle valve actuator. I think it's pretty expensive, so be careful, don't break a new one. We're gonna put her in. While you're doing that, it's a good idea to clean your throttle bodies. Will definitely not hurt your car. Maybe gain a couple horsepower back. Be careful not to break any of the harness connections or housings. Loosen it up to open the covers up. We'll have a little bit more slack on the wires. Drop the new part in there. Align it on the holes, on the bolt holes, and bolt it down. Connect all the plugs back on. Bolt the harness brackets back where they were. Don't break any of the connectors. Don't forget to bolt anything down. Make sure everything is nice and tight. Now we're gonna put the manifolds back on. Make sure it's clean inside. Make sure you don't have any bolts weighing inside the manifold. Connect all the locking hoses, your PCV system. Don't forget crankcase ventilation as well. Check to see that the manifold is sitting all the way in on all the throttle bodies. Make sure none of the manifold couplers got kinked or anything like that. Now tighten all the clamps up. The couplers on the manifold have special stops for the clamps, so the clamps are gonna be positioned like they only could be positioned in one way. So you don't have to worry about aligning the clamps, so it's easier for you to tighten. I just double check to make sure all the hoses are connected. Remember, there's one little guy over here in the back of the manifold. There's one more PCV hose on the side, one in the front under the manifold. This guy. Or from the side under the manifold, right there. Alright, set the other side of the manifold in. Don't forget to connect the hoses on the bottom. It's easier when the manifold is not in yet. Same thing, align it with the throttle bodies. Make sure it's sitting all the way in on all the throttle bodies. The couplers are not kinked, not twisted. All the clamps are in place. Make sure the manifold doesn't have anything in it. Talking about loose bolts or any loose objects. There's a little rubber mount in the front of the manifold. There's pins on the manifold, so connect that as well. Also mount the harness bracket. Always took off when you were taking out the manifold, and tighten the clamps on the throttle bodies. Alright, our manifold is in. Make sure all the hoses are connected. Set up the wiring, clips and everything back onto the manifold. Put a strut bar back in. Put all the bolts in by hand first and then tighten it. Put the rain guards back in. Make sure it's going in there properly. Lock the clips in, quarter turn, 13mm socket. Put the cabin filters back on. Should replace them while you're working on it. Put the airbox covers back on. Connect them as airflow sensors. You're gonna have to play around with the windshield washer inlet hose. You gotta put it into the bottle first and then clip it onto the airbox. That's it. Everything is back together.